Hey, y'all, T-Ham141 here. I'm Tracy. Welcome to the live stream tonight. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and just let you know I've got merch. I've got all sorts of cool designs on shirts and like 60 or 70 different products over at Redbubble. I'll put the link up here. And I've got books. If you go to thand141homestead.com, you will find each and every one of my books. I sell, they are Amazon quality. They are printed on Amazon KDP. A big shout out to all my friends in the homesteading community. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that like button, that subscribe button, and that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I come out with a new piece of content. And don't be afraid to comment and let me know what you would like to see on my channel. All right, guys, it's about that time. Let's get into the live. And here we go. We are off. Might have a guest tonight, not sure. Darren from Thorhaven Farm showed some interest. He sounded like he was having a good time tonight, so might be fun. Man, we have had a lot of stuff go on the homestead this week. Sunday was church as always, and man, oh man, God has just blessed me with. I talked with the pastor and the pastor's wife about some issues I've been having with my attitude. You wouldn't think it, but I have a problem with my attitude sometimes. I'm bullheaded and stubborn and you know all that good stuff, and sometimes I say, "Wow, I need to air some of this stuff out to somebody who can let me know honestly whether I am in the right or in the wrong." And my pastor and pastor's wife are wonderful at that. Trevor and Matt are great, but they're a little biased. Yeah, they think I'm perfect. Hey, Peter from Old Man King Homestead, how's it going down south, my friend? Man, this week started out Monday morning. I started out bright and early because they were going to deliver my sheds, the new sheds, Monday morning. One of them will be a chicken coop, and also there will be a coop where I can raise meat birds, turkeys, pheasants, whatever I want. And then the way I'm looking at it, because it is big. I will also be able to do all sorts of, my rabbits in there also. Hey, Darren's here. Let's bring him on up. How you doing, my friend?
Awesome. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I can't complain because people stop listening if I do.
I know the feeling. I know the exact feeling. So how's your week been?
Awesome. I was just saying I got my two sheds.
Okay.
12 by 20 sheds.
Yeah.
And I started off, they are 1 by 12, I think, plank boards for the floor.
Okay.
And there are some cracks in the floor.
That's okay.
Yeah. And well, I started out, I took some Thompson's water seal and covered them. Did 2 coats of Thompson's water seal. And because I'm worried my chickens spill the water sometimes, and just moisture in general.
Do you do the, like in winter, do you go deep bedding where you're like, once winter hits, you just start continuing to add bedding to them? Or do you clean it out and then add more bedding, clean it out, add more bedding? Or do you just add more bedding until spring and then take it all out?
With the old one, because I had old treated boards down, I did the deep bedding.
Yeah.
But with the new one, I'm planning on keeping up on it, getting a big pile of sawdust from one of the sawmills around, and using that as bedding on the ground and stuff to try to.
Because I wanted to mention to you, when we were talking offline, our chicken coop has like regular plywood on the ground, and we did the meat chickens there. We do the regular chickens, and we will do the deep bedding in winter. And the plywood so far has held up, and it's been, I want to say, about 4 years, 3 or 4 years since we've had the regular plywood and done the deep bedding and the meat chickens and the water. And, they, like you said, they spill everything. So it's been pretty good so far after the 4 years, even with doing the deep bedding method.
Okay. And what I was kind of concerned about feed and stuff getting down under the building, and attracting predators. And
yes,
Trevor said, well, feed is not that'll attract mice and rats and stuff. He said they're not predators. I said, yeah, but predators are attracted by mice and rats and stuff.
Yeah, no, we've had this past winter and the winter before, we've actually caught one rat each winter, which is interesting because after we caught the first rat, it went down into, we've got these big Rubbermaid containers where we store our feed. So it went down in, obviously, to get the feed and couldn't get back out. So it died in there. There's a big rat. Yeah. And we put down rat traps and glue traps and tons of other stuff, and we couldn't catch anything else. And then the following year, the same thing happened. All of a sudden, we have a big rat down in the feed container. And again, we put out the rat traps and glue traps and stuff, and nothing. So it's like, to me, it seems weird that there's one, but not others. So, or there may be others and they may be too smart, but to me, it does. Usually you'd catch one or two and then it would be like,
yeah. I do agree, Jack. Rats have feelings too. And if I can help it, they will feel a 22 round in the skull. That's with my old, my temporary.
They have feelings, but do they have genders?
Probably multiple, I would imagine. Actually, there was a study done, and the rats kind of mimic our civilization rise and fall.
Okay.
They took rats and they isolated them, and they made it so that the rats had a utopia. All the food they wanted, the population was not controlled, all this other stuff. And the rats actually, after a while, you had some of them would start dominating. Then you would have, they took over, and you could see a hierarchy structure. And after a while, the morals of the mice started, I don't want to say practicing the homosexuality and stuff, but it's something similar to that. The mothers started leaving once the population hit a certain point. The mothers started leaving the babies, and gave up on the nurturing and stuff like that.
It's like, that's it. That's all. I'm done. Can't deal with it anymore.
I've had 600 kids, man. Leave me alone.
Exactly. I'm done. Where's my vacation?
Yeah, and after a while, they even started in on cannibalism and stuff. But the guy that did it drew parallels between the rise and falls of human societies. But where I put the temporary chicken coop from my front porch, I can see the feeder.
Nice.
And so I can see the feed part of the feeder from my window when I'm watching TV on my
So
off.
I noticed you got two sheds. Are you doing both as chicken coops, or are you doing one as a chicken coop and one as something else, or what's the plan?
I'm kind of up in air about the second one right now.
Okay.
Um, the first one's going to be a chicken coop, and it's going to be where I can do my meat chickens or turkeys or whatever. And actually, now I'm finding I will have plenty of room for a couple rabbit cages. Uh,
Nice.
I, I don't think I'm going to do colony rabbits. Um,
It's tough. We did that, and it is tough.
but as far as taking mama out and putting her in with daddy, that's easy enough that even I can do it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so I'll be able to do the rabbits in there, keep my feed in there. I'm going to cover. I got to run some. There'll be joists up to sit on the wall studs, on the
Yep.
wall frames, and I'm going to put wood up there to close in the tops, and I'll be able to store stuff up there. So
Nice.
everything for chickens and poultry and rabbits will be contained in that one shed. I
Good.
was planning on hooking the pig pen the way I set it and everything up to the second one and making a pig stall. I've got a 3 or 4 foot door on the end, and I was going to make a pig stall so we could raise piglets and stuff and let them, in once they're old enough or once they're big enough, I could let them out. And
Do you
Trevor told me I'm
do you
nuts.
do you have a workshop like where you do?
I do. I have a
It sounds like you don't from that answer. So I would say take your second one and make it into a workshop,
That's
because
what I'm thinking.
if like Trevor sounds like he was going to say, if you make that second one into anything to do with pigs, they will destroy it.
Yeah.
You will be sorry that you even ordered a second one if you let the pigs in there.
Yeah. Because and he said that the pigs are fine. We only have the pigs from at the earliest May and at the latest November.
Okay.
So
Well,
depending
apparently
on when we get.
Joyce has an OnlyFans page.
What's that?
Apparently
Joyce has an
Joyce
OnlyFans.
has an OnlyFans page.
Yeah, I tried that, but I didn't have it. I nobody bit at all.
I
It,
think
it
I need to get an OnlyFans account and just
just sit in a hot tub.
yeah, exactly. Show off my belly or my feet or something like that. Be like,
Uh, Believe it or not, the one of the only trolls I've ever had. Um, I showed a picture of Wendy's feet. They were swollen. Her liver, basically, we know now, her liver had shut down, and she was collecting fluid. And the guy's like, "Oh my goodness." He's like, "Show the feet again. Show the feet again." And I'm like, "Dude, we're not that kind of channel." I'm Tracy's all, yeah. Matt says, my friend Matt told me the other day, he says, yeah, he says, I haven't had time because he's getting ready to retire. It's exciting for him. He's starting a whole new stage of his life. He's a correction officer,
okay.
and he was on the CERT team and all that. And he just had to leave the CERT team. He's got like weeks, just a couple weeks left until retirement. But he says, yeah, I haven't had time with everything going on to watch many of your videos. I said, well, that's why my viewership is down 75%. But yeah, I'm thinking about a workshop because I've always wanted to get into woodworking more.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll make, but my tool shed, which we've always called it the tool shed, it's 8 by 16 because I was trying to come in under the 144 square foot before they tax it,
Oh,
and
stupid taxes.
yeah, and it's I have a hard time making it to the bench. I've usually every spring and every fall I clean it out and organize it. I haven't done that at all this year.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
What is it? I posted yesterday on Facebook a pic. Oh yeah, yeah, your dog. That was hilarious because she was cut. She was laying just like a pose on your tummy. Our son says, "Mom, how do you know about OnlyFans?" And I'm like, "How do you know about OnlyFans?" Right?
Exactly. If the kids bring it up, it's like fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I have
yeah, it's pigs will destroy anything. It's the same as our cows. It's funny. I was watching I forget what the channel was. It was like Barn Talk or something like that. And the guys were talking about, regular farmers who do cash crop like grain and that sort of thing versus guys who do cattle. And they're like, yeah, anyone who does a cash crop is always looking at the cattle farmers like, why is your stuff always broken? It's like, we've got cows and they bust everything. It's the same with pigs.
yeah.
If you've got pigs, they're going to destroy everything you have. Same with cows. So,
I went through and I think I had a video on it. I filled the lower half, almost lower three quarters of the pig pen with wood chips, and I
yeah,
had them mounded
nice.
up. And now that's the only really dry area.
Yep.
This year I've got to once the pigs are gone, I've got to lift up. I'll be able to take off a bunch of the top again and fill that with wood chips so that because my I have the automatic barrel feeder
Yep.
where it comes down from the barrel and into the sides, they can lift the little flaps and eat. And it's kind of leaning because of the water, which means that all that the feed, that one is filling right up and the other one isn't quite filling properly. Um, but and with all this water that we've gotten this year,
It's
it
crazy.
was like I thought we were going to have a drought this year in the
No,
beginning of the
I know
year.
the
I
way
mean,
spring was going, it was
yeah.
like, yeah, we're not going to get any rain this year. We're going to have to conserve the water. And nope, not at all.
pigs pigs will wreck your fences, your sod, and your will to live. We're probably holding back 2 to 3 gilts for breeding. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
but I would
Every animal will destroy all your infrastructure. And even if you go down to chickens and rabbits, rabbits will eat. If you have a wood cage for rabbits, they will eat it and get
yeah.
out. Chickens, they will, like, if you let them free range, they will dig up your seeds, they will dig up your plants and flowers. It's just,
Yeah. If you have chickens, you have to have fences, whether you fence
yep,
in your chickens or fence in your gardens. Uh,
exactly. One or the other. You need to fence in one of them.
because I was hoping it didn't work because I ended up having to get the well, and
Right.
took and I got a good price on the well. Um, but I was going to fence in my chickens, but I was going to fence off a big enough area that they would still be free range. They would have the woods, they would have a little bit of a field
Nice.
that we have cleared and stuff like that. Then if I ever get goats or whatever, I can let them go in there. But uh the money just isn't there for the fencing. It's
It's fencing. It's funny because I had the conversation with Chris and Steph at Hickorycroft. It's like, if you're on a homestead or farm, where you're having to deal with animals, fencing is the biggest expense.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you're dealing with, whether it's cows, chickens, pigs, fencing is probably your biggest expense you have to deal with.
And you can get chicken wire really cheap. The problem with chicken wire is it keeps chickens in or
That's
out.
it.
Anything else can get in there.
It only deals with chickens, nothing else.
Yeah. But I've got quite a deep. My land is in a triangle. Let's see. Well, let me draw it. My land
And
is.
I like the fact that you said it was like wood chips with your pigs. We did that this year too, is where we took a whole ton of our trees that we cut down because we had the forest fire last year. So we
Mhm.
took our woods back like 70 feet. So we took a whole ton of those trees and we mulched them. And that mulch went into the pig pen to create this basically huge bedding for the pigs. And
Yeah.
it's like finally this year they're actually dry, even
Yeah.
though we've had as much rain as we've had.
Yeah. Well, the wood chips absorb.
Yeah.
But the pigs I noticed this year they were able to dig down in the wood chips and still make wallows
They
instead of
still
so
do.
much
Yeah.
mud. I mean, they were able to find some mud places because I left that on purpose.
Yeah.
But they were able to wallow in it. My
Yeah.
land is kind of like this.
Okay.
Here's the house and the two sheds are, let's see, they're like that. Hold on one second. Okay. Oop. The two sheds are back here. And
Nice.
then you got the pig pen. And I was gonna fence in like that whole back portion there.
Okay.
And
Yep.
they would have woods. And as long as I didn't put pigs, the goats would keep the what do you call it? My house is on the side of a mountain.
It sounds like Jack is.
Yeah, that's Jack. Hey,
Yeah.
Remy. How's it going, my friend? But it actually, I'm in a swamp. My road used to be called Swamp Road, and they renamed it. But AJMB. But I wanted to be able to fence in big enough so that the chickens aren't going to turn it right to dirt. But like if I got goats, they would be able to browse because this year we're starting with our wood. When we drop trees, we're going to be taking trees away from the good logs. I have beech right now. I could probably get a year's worth of firewood without dropping one tree unless it's just from blowdowns.
Nice.
I own 20 acres. And if we do it right, Trevor and he uses maybe 20 face cord a year, and I use maybe 12. And
Face cord. I can never figure that out because
okay.
like I just want to say like Sarah changed the name of her homestead.
Hold the Line Homestead?
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember, but it was not Hold the Line Homestead. It was something else. She changed the name of it. But for us, I want to say it's a bush cord that we usually go by. So it's like 4 feet by
8.
What is it? 4 by 4 by 8 or 4 by 2 by 8? 4 by
a regular cord is 4 foot long by 4 foot deep by 4 foot high by 8 foot long by 4 foot deep.
Yeah.
And
that's a bush cord, right?
I've never heard it called a bush cord. It might be, but it's a full cord.
Okay,
a face cord,
yeah. So up here, I think we call that a bush cord.
Yeah, it was wannabe homesteader. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
She's a homesteader now, baby. Don't let her fool you.
Either way.
But a face cord is just 4 foot high by 8 foot long, with one pile of blocks, 16 inches deep.
Okay. She's legit in how that she has chickens.
There you go. Oh, it won't take long to get more animals. It won't take you long.
It's the starter animal. Yeah.
Yeah. And they are so cute. I had one come up on the back porch today, and I thought it was one of the cats scratching at the door. I'm like, man, I hear them scratching on the wood beside the door, but they usually don't scratch on the door. I looked out the window and looked down, and this chicken was taking her beak and going down the door so I would open the door and give them treats. That grub Terra, it is some good stuff. That it's like chicken cocaine. You want your chickens to follow you around? Start giving them that stuff.
Speaking of which, we got some seeds for some poppies. So we're going to start growing some poppies next year. And it's the good poppies. So, and I've been researching some of that stuff, and it's crazy what you can make with poppies.
Yeah.
So we don't want to get into the whole thing, but
right.
Man, I'm if I could start selling, or even it was so funny because we went down to one of the nurseries where we always get our trees and our shrubs and flowers and all that. And we're talking to her, and we're like, so if we could do it, our plan is to have kind of not like one of those pick your own, but something similar where we could take stuff to order. So people would order, say they want a basket of chives and salad burnet and raspberries and blueberries and that sort of thing. We could, have that ready for them to go. So we're joking we want to do some other stuff, and we'll put that and have the baskets and all that. And if that doesn't work out, we're going to do moonshine and opium.
So there you go. Well, see, that's the cool thing about poppies is you probably know this. They can be made to use. They can be used to make an opioid in a grid down situation.
It's crazy what you can make from them. So you can take regular opium, which is, what everyone associates with it. But you can continue to refine that and make all the stuff that people are addicted to now. And it's I don't want to do that. I just want the good old days,
Right. Well, yeah, it's like a still. You want a still so that you can have it. I was thinking about building a still. In the United States, they have to be registered.
You don't need to build it. You can buy it.
Yeah. And that way the
you have to register down in the US.
Yeah. Even if you're going to make fuel.
Really?
Not yet.
You can buy any size you want here, no problem whatsoever.
Oh wow. Because I know an American Homestead, Zach, they have a still they make all their tractor fuel.
Okay.
But the thing is the one thing that a society without rule of law is going to need is medicinals.
Medicinals, and alcohol, and
yeah, beans, bullets, and band-aids, and I got to be careful. I'll end up forgetting the band-aids if I'm not careful. Which I've got Comfrey.
Comfrey's amazing, and what's the other one? There's Comfrey and Self Heal, which I can't remember the Latin name for it, but there's so many like that where it as long as you're growing it on the homestead, then you don't have to worry about stocking band-aids and that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's pretty amazing.
It it's amazing to me how I'm so blessed because we cut back the woods. We cut back. There was a
Okay.
little field with blackberries when because this used to be all woodlot, 20 acres of woodlot, and we cut in. There was a little tiny opening that had a bunch of blackberry bushes in them. The
Nice.
blackberry the blackberry bushes all moved over to the side of the periphery, and they keep trying to come back in. If I stop mowing for a year, I'll have all the blackberries I'll ever need. But and I started becoming aware of what was growing in my yard. Number one, dandelions. Dandelions are awesome food, and they help other plants around them because they have deep roots and they draw up nutrients. I have self heal
Yeah.
that is
Dandelions
oh
not only help you, but they help the pollinators and everything
yeah,
else. It's crazy.
yeah. And I
Self
saw it be
heal's another good one.
yep,
Yep.
self heal
You
is
you
taking
probably
over my
have
yard.
mullein and yarrow and
Mullen, yarrow, I haven't had. I think I've got to check it out. I think I have chamomile
okay.
growing wild. I haven't checked it with my plant identifying app yet, but
And
I
the,
just this year planted chamomile in the garden, so it
and you
might
probably
be
have St. John's wort. The
yeah.
funny thing is we were like for the last 2 years, I'm like, I need to plant some St. John's wort. I need to get it growing. And without even realizing, we have two huge St. John wort bushes that we bought commercially. So we planted them as like ornamental, but it's like we already have them growing. And then we had Chris and Steph from Hickory Croft who were just here lately. And we're walking around the property and they're like, oh, there's some more St. John's wort. There's some more St. John's wort. Oh, there's some more St. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, I didn't even realize. So I had like 3 St. John worts started in little pot, like little red solo cups. So I'm like, okay, Chris, Steph, you guys wanted to plant some of this. You guys don't have any growing. You can take this with you because we
Nice.
we just realized we have so much of it already growing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And elderberry, I
Oh yes,
noticed last year I noticed a bush down by the driveway, and
nice.
then this year I noticed another bush by the driveway, two bushes growing there. My pear trees that I fenced in so deer couldn't get them.
Nice.
That's and I planted my black raspberries in there, and I had garlic in there, but that's all overgrown with um elderberry and oh, what's that other one? Mullein. There's
Okay.
some mullein growing in there on the periphery. And the thing is I planted my black raspberries kind of close to the gate that the opening that I have where I can get in and out, and it's kind of woven in through all that, and it's painful to get in there.
It's funny when you start doing that, where it's like, you know, I was for the last couple of years, I've been, oh man, I got to do everything permaculture. So like, you don't have to worry about things being overgrown or anything like that. You just, chop and drop and continue to let stuff grow. No, 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 no. It's like I can't find anything anymore. So it's like the one food forest that I've got where, I'm supposed to manage this food forest and Bridget manages the other one. It's like this one's just horrible. It's a disaster because there's so much stuff growing up in there. Like we've got salad, arugula, onions and other stuff, and it's just like it's just a disaster. And then hers is like all nice and pretty. It's the one we just harvested the choke cherries from. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. I get why you harass me about, the disaster that is my food forest. So there's a point where you can take the permaculture too far and allow it to inundate everything and take
Yeah.
over everything. And there's the other side where, you can harness that permaculture and allow things to do what they do, but in a controlled environment.
Right. Well, it's like my comfrey is it said give it, it can grow to 2 or 3 feet.
Yes.
The thing's 4 foot tall and at
Ours
least
is,
4 foot.
yeah, I think the one we got from the Homestead conference where I met you, it's like 4 feet tall and 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's amazing. Have you ever heard of black ash? Um,
I have, but I haven't heard of it in like any sort of use it medicinal kind of thing. So for me with my drinking, um I'm always into the anise hyssop because it's supposed to be amazing for your liver. So I continue to try and drink as much hyssop tea and that kind of stuff.
mhm. An old Indian kid used to buy it off her. Um, he was going through heart surgery when he was taking nice. It's amazing the stuff. To this day, I think that when Wendy and I, when she first started her chemo, we were doing every day. We were doing a good sized cup of our beet greens, kale, and we were making smoothies.
Nice.
And for the first 2 rounds of chemo, there it was getting beaten back. And then they're like, "Well, you're good enough. We're going to let you take a break." And somewhere we stopped doing the smoothies. And after that, it was downhill all the way. And I never put two and two together. Hey, we stopped the smoothies. Um,
It's amazing what herbs, flowers, plants, and stuff can do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unadulterated. The thing is the pharmaceutical companies, man, they don't get paid if you're not sick.
No,
So
exactly.
why would they give you stuff that's going to heal
It's
you?
crazy when you think about it. It's like if you look at almost every industry in Western society, they they're not there to make you better. So if you take a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, um, a plumber, a carpenter, they don't make money if you're good.
Right.
They make money if you're bad.
Yeah. If it
So it's
when only when you need them, and the pharmaceutical companies figured that out.
yeah.
And that is why, which I am not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV or YouTube, but I believe that a lot of the side effects that my mom literally, she's 86 years old, almost 87, and uh, she takes medicines that I know for a fact are to counteract the side effects of other medicines that she has to
Yes.
take. It is
Yeah.
it is amazing. They'll say the natural remedies are weak versions. Yeah, but they're pure. It is like it's like okay,
Weak
let's
versions,
take
but if
marijuana.
you read any book about natural medicines or plants or flowers and all that, they're like, yes, you can eat this, or yes, you can have that in the tea, but do not take it in huge amounts. They're like,
Yeah.
test it out in little
Yeah.
bits before you actually, because it will mess you up if
Yeah.
you're taking it in large amounts.
Well,
So, whereas doctors are like, yeah, you can take whatever. We've
yeah.
refined this into its purest thing, and you can just start chucking them back and you'll be okay.
Well, they're
And if
making
you have a problem with anal bleeding, well, we've got a cure for that too. So here
we
you
got
go.
a cream for that.
Yeah, we got a cream for that. Yeah, we got a pill for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll fix you right up.
And um the I lost it. Yeah, I lost it at anal bleeding. Um, but with the medicines, take marijuana. Marijuana, yes, you can get high from marijuana. I do not believe that's the intent for it. However, boy, it
I've
could probably
I've
make
got
a good anti-anxiety medication for
yeah,
somebody who suffers from PTSD, sleepless
and
nights, stuff
probably
like that.
like you, Tracy, I've
Yeah.
got lots of military buddies who are taking a lot for their PTSD. And man, the difference between them on it and off it are night and day.
Yeah, and but it also it aids in pressure behind the eyes for
Okay.
glaucoma.
There's lots
It
of other stuff like
yeah, it does
if you look
stuff
at
for the
so many
heart.
plants and other stuff, it's like the yes, you can take it for this, but it also aids in this, and this, and this. It's crazy.
Recently, I've been seeing videos, and like I said, I am not a doctor, and this is from YouTube and Facebook Reels and Shorts. Um, there are a lot of doctors coming out and saying, "Listen, we've cut salt so much that we're getting people coming in. If you have a migraine headache or a headache of any kind, because the guy said your brain does not have any pain receivers. When you have a headache, it's not your brain that's hurting.
Hmm.
It's the sac or the tissue around the brain does not like to be stretched or compressed. It doesn't
Okay.
like to be manipulated. And so what you might have is swelling or shrinking due to dehydration. And he says, and I'd heard that before when I worked at I helped out at the Moose River Baptist Youth Camp, and the doctor, if a kid came in with a headache, he would say, drink 3 bottles of water and
Yeah.
sit down for a few minutes and let me know before he prescribe any medication. And the guy says, okay, the guy in the video said, instead of just water, drink a glass of salt water,
Oh,
because salt helps your body. It quickens the process of making that water, that hydration from the water, available to your muscles and tissues.
quick.
Now, don't drink a lot of salt water, people. You'll go nuts.
No. Yeah.
But a glass of it, we used to gargle salt water all the time when we had a
Yep.
sore throat. But
And then you'd be
nowadays,
like, oh,
right?
yeah.
But nowadays, we are so salt conscious. You have to have salt. Salt is one of the minerals of the body that you need.
It's crazy because it's funny. This is like totally off topic, but I argue with our oldest here is he's been watching some of these YouTube videos about guys like he's into fitness and that kind of thing, and they're just like right out there. So I don't know what he's been watching. This is totally off topic, and we'll get back on topic in a sec. But he's like, the guy reminds me of Gilbert Godfrey, his voice.
Oh.
He's like, hey, so we got, but he talks about, you don't need to, it's basically if you want to cut weight, you need to cut calories. So he's all about calories. So it doesn't matter what you eat, as long as you're not having calories. So he's like, yeah, so we got to buy this chemical maple syrup because there's no calories in it. And we got to buy these sweeteners because there's no calories. I'm like, what the? And he's like, yeah, watch this video. So then Gilbert Godfrey comes on. And it's not Gilbert Godfrey. It's this other guy's like, yeah, so you can have all this stuff and you can eat this stuff and add as many sweeteners as you want because there's no calories in it. So you won't die of obesity. You might die of cancer, but really you'll die fit and shredded. I'm like, are you kidding me? So anyway, like kind of back on topic, I'm having this conversation with him, like, you're 16. You don't need to worry about counting calories at all. And, it's just like in moderation, everything in moderation. So it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you have it in moderation and you don't overdose on it or you're not addicted to it like, some things.
Right. And like I know I've been fighting this whole weight thing and I know what to do. Lettuce.
Dude, you're not even heavyweight. You keep talking about it, but you're not.
Well, I've formed a gut and I used to be really.
It's like me. I stopped drinking for 1 year and I dropped 35 pounds. Yeah. It's like, it's not the food I'm eating. It's the alcohol I'm consuming.
How many bottles were you carrying?
A bunch. So it's everything in moderation.
Yeah. But if you eat lettuce, have a salad with a vinegar or a vinaigrette dressing.
Yeah.
Before you eat your meal, what that'll do is it'll just fill you up a little quicker. And lettuce has no calories.
But again, if you're having, say, a salad that you've harvested from your farm, that's lettuce, onions, green pepper, and then you're having meat from your farm, like a chicken or a steak or something, and then you're having a side of veggies or potatoes or something, that's kind of like the ideal.
Yeah, your body is going to say, wow, real food. I can actually use 90% of this stuff that's in here. I don't have to store fat because I'm getting real food. The stuff that we are eating today.
No, it's all the processed and chemical stuff and everything else. And it's like, I sat the boys down and like, here's what's in your bread. Start reading the ingredients, and they can pronounce 3/4 of the ingredients that were in it. I'm like, there you go. So I can make you homemade bread and you guys think it's awesome and you have it for toast. But then you also have the regular bread that we buy from the store and you guys have it as toast. Which one's better for you?
Yeah. And I was watching Benjamin Netanyahu, he's the prime minister of Israel, was going through a plant and they call it the printer.
Oh, I saw that video.
Making steaks.
That's crazy. Like, what was it? 30 seconds or a minute will print you out a steak.
Yeah. And what it is they're taking fat and muscle tissue and they're combining it and it's printing out a steak.
That's just disgusting. And they're like, this is great for the environment because there's I forget what he said, but there's no
pollution.
No pollution, no nothing, no blah. Well, okay, what is the printing press or whatever you call it running on? It's got to be running on some electricity or some power.
Right.
Where are you getting your fat and nutrients from? It's got to be coming from somewhere. And
apparently you've got a big storage tank somewhere of this tissue. What are you using to
Right.
preserve that?
And it's running on something. But what is it giving back to the environment? So, the cows that I have out there in the field, they're creating more nutrients for the environment around us. They continue to add that nutrients to the soil, so it'll produce more vegetation,
Mhm.
which again produces more oxygen. If you're running a printing press and you're just giving inputs, what is that giving back to the environment?
Yeah. The thing is the earth is a closed cycle. Okay. Now,
Oh,
yeah,
is
go
it?
ahead.
Or is it? Okay.
In,
Kind of,
in,
sort of,
in-
but not really.
yeah,
So
kind
I
of.
want to
It's
touch.
got some closed cycles.
Okay. So here's the thing. When you say it's a closed cycle, this is like way off topic, and I'm gonna might blow some minds here. But when you say it's a closed cycle, everything is like there's a finite resource,
Mhm.
right? Is what most people think. Okay. So say there's a finite resource that most people think there is. Now we take my wife or my brother who create something. So, for example, my wife creates a dish towel. So she
Mhm.
takes some finite resource and creates a product.
Mhm.
Well, now she just added another value to the system. My brother, who does art, he paints a picture. You take a finite resource like there's only so much canvas, there's only so much paint. Well, he creates a painting. Suddenly that painting's worth, say, $25,000. Boom. What had just happened? You just increased that finite resource, right?
Yeah.
So it's like weird when you kind of think about there's only a finite resource, but there's people who can create stuff and increase that value.
Right. And
Oh.
when I say it's a the
Remy.
cycles within the cycles within the earth. Okay, in the wild, an animal lives.
Right.
It partakes minerals, nutrients, water, all that good stuff. It
Right.
dies,
Yep.
whether it dies from natural causes or something else eating it. It goes back into the earth. All those minerals, water, all that stuff that it had goes back in some
Yep.
way into the earth. The hydro cycle where you have evaporation, condensation, and
And
that
it's a system and something where you would say is kind of equivalent. So what would die off gives back equally to the whatever it's given back to, right? The you know, what am I
yeah.
getting at here, folks?
Well,
Come
it's
on,
it's
help me
it
out here. Throw me a bone.
yeah.
So, yeah. So something dies, right? It gives off, like you said, those nutrients and everything else to other stuff. Other stuff feed on it and that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
However, you take an artist who suddenly creates a priceless portrait, suddenly they've just increased that amount of what we would consider finite resource.
Right. And it's when we put value on stuff. Take money for instance.
Yeah.
The dollar bill, it has worth because the government says it has worth.
Right.
Therefore, that worth is controlled by the various governments of the world, the economic.
Mm-hmm.
You take gold, what gives gold or silver or precious metals their worth? the difficulty that it is that you have to draw it out of the ground gives it
Demand, rarity, the amount of work that goes into it, like you said. Yeah.
yeah,
Lots of things.
and that's why we're going. There are a lot of countries that are going back to the gold standard, but it's like oil. Oil is still being created today. The crude oil that they're pulling out of the ground is still being created today,
I
because
think so.
yes, because they used to say because of the evolutionary presumptions that they make.
We're gonna get religious here in a second, aren't
No,
we?
no, this is science. This is science.
Okay.
But because of the evolutionary presumptions that they made, they said to make oil you need organic matter,
Yeah.
pressure, heat, and time.
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
now we found out that
There is
all you
still
need
that
is
going on.
the organic matter, the pressure, and the heat. You don't
Yeah.
need time. They took a turkey
You can
carcass
accelerate that time.
and in like 2 hours they added pressure and heat and or the to the organic matter they added it to, and they came out with oil. It was actually nicer than crude oil.
A
It
little
was easier,
pure.
a little easier to refine. It hadn't been in
Nice.
the ground forever. So we know now that time is not a factor in it. And so right now under our feet, in the United States and Canada, we have vast amounts of oil reserves.
We do.
That right now are not being tapped near their potential.
Oh.
But it's because they're like, oh,
I'd
it
tap
takes
that.
millions of years. Yeah, I'd tap that. Oil, what do they call them? Roughnecks will tap anything. But they they told us for so long that it takes millions of years to make oil,
Right.
or these resources, when it doesn't. It's actually being created. Quite diamonds, same thing.
Oh,
You can,
diamonds you can make like
yeah,
that.
and they're actually controlling the human-made, what are they called, cubic zirconians or whatever.
Yeah, that's why they're
diamonds.
like doing the whole these are non conflict diamonds.
Non-count, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, yeah, we can make these diamonds like this in a laboratory. Yeah, okay, but still I want the ones that are dug up by 10-year-old children who died needlessly. Come
Oh
on.
yeah. Trevor was just telling me he found out that they are the lithium for batteries. They have a process, because that is, it's a strip mining process to get lithium.
Yeah.
It's really harsh on the area where they're mining
It's
the lithium.
brutal, and most lithium is Congo and China.
Yeah. But he was saying that they can take the old lithium batteries and I forget how he said, they shred them up or they separate them in such a way they can make a brand new lithium battery without adding any real materials. Like the way he said it, and I don't know if this, because this is secondhand, I didn't see the video, but the way he was talking is they can pretty much reproduce an 80% of a brand new lithium battery that can be charged up to 100% from one of the old lithium batteries that has been around for years and will only hold a 70% charge. I don't know how that's possible, but
yeah, it's kind of like, you kind of look at some of the laws of the universe, and for me, I'm not entirely positive that all the laws of the universe are really the laws of the universe, because a lot of them has been rewritten over the years. So, you take a look back at history and it's like what we thought was fact is not in fact. So there are stuff that, maybe this is possible, but
Well, science is constantly changing.
it's always changing.
The
That's just it.
more, well, in truth, the science is the same, and the
Science
properties
is,
are the same, but our ability to access and learn
yes,
that science, like
yeah, the
the
science hasn't changed. It's just our understanding and our ability to learn it and access it and realize what is possible.
the it's hard because I'm gonna use the Bible as a source here, but
Oh no, don't do that. Oh,
I'm talking
Tracy,
science.
that's it. I'm done. I need to grab
Oh,
another drink.
oh no. Well, get another drink if you want. I'll wait. But but the Bible talks about God holding all things together. Okay. And we have found, now that we have electron microscopes and these very powerful things, there is actually a thing called, I want to say, lanolin. It's a lanolin molecule. And
Isn't there a lanolin oil?
yeah, there's a
Or am I
lanolin.
thinking something else?
There,
All right, before I grab a drink, there was a thing I saw today on Facebook, and my immediate thought was of you. But it was like some guy who's like, okay, so they were talking about the Bible, and they were like, the flood is the worst false. What did they say? It's the worst. It's like, the flood never happened. It's the worst thing, fake thing in the Bible. I'm like, wait, what? That's one of the few things in the Bible for me, coming from being a heathen,
mhm.
is that's one of the few things in the Bible that is accurate, is that a flood was, throughout history. You can go to any religion, any faith, any archaeologist, anyone who said, in 12600 years ago, there was a massive flood that devastated the earth. And this guy's like, no, there was no flood in the Bible. That's the most fake thing. I'm like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
like one of the things that everybody has said is actually true.
The science, observable science. When you get to the top of some of the highest mountains in the world, there are oysters and clams that are petrified, closed. Okay, when they
There's
die,
some crazy stuff going on in the world that, like,
um,
if you start digging into it, and for you that might solidify your belief in the
right.
Bible, and for others it's like it just solidifies belief in science or something else. But it's crazy that, like, the flood happened. So for anyone to say, oh, the flood didn't happen, now the details of that can be thrown up in the air and say,
Right.
did Noah take two and two of every animal? That, of course, we can go and say, not sure about, but the
Right.
flood freaking happened.
Yeah, for me, it solidifies the biblical account. For someone else, it might just be, it might only take them as far as the Sumerian account of the flood. You know what I'm saying? Where pretty much, other than the names, it's pretty close to the same account. There was a guy that built a boat. The world was covered in flood, and then we're not even going into the geneticists, the Y chromosome project, that studies the chromosomes, takes us back to about 4,500 years ago. Takes us back to two people 4,500 years ago, which would be Noah and his wife, because the other 6 people that were on the ark, or I call them Noah and his wife because that's what the Bible calls them. But there were 6 other people on that were saved through the flood that had the same genes of Noah and his wife because they were descendants. Well, the Y chromosomes, the boys were their children. And science is if you look objectively, see, I look at different evidence under the microscope of through the lens.
I'm gonna need another drink for this.
Okay, not a problem.
For me, in everything I've seen and read, it's like 12,600 years ago is when the flood actually happened. So to say that stuff happened after that is like, So I'm glad I'm not.
Well, that was the cool thing.
Well,
Remy didn't actually have to go anywhere. The Bible says that God brought them and God led the animals on the ark. It's believed that back then animals had no fear of man, and remember, before the flood, humans were not supposed to eat meat. I don't know if that I believe that was just a natural thing with the animals. Also,
we ate meat way before that. But Remy, I'll take care of the lions and tigers if you look after the Komodo dragons.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a horrible death, getting bit by one of them.
I'll be right back, Tracy. You
okay, I'll be
off.
I'll be here. But yeah, science is just amazing. And we use it, we see it today. On the homesteads, we see science that is just phenomenal. It's our chickens. We need science. We use these cycles that are, no matter where you believe they came from, they're there. The cycles of fertilizing the soil. Cow eats grass, makes white milk, and that waste goes back into the ground to bring up more grass that the cow eats and makes white milk again. It's amazing. And by understanding some of these cycles, we can take and make our homesteading better. To understand that there are nematodes and there's stuff in the soil that takes pure nitrogen. Like when you put chemical nitrogen on your garden, your plants cannot use that nitrogen. There are nematodes and stuff in the soil that eat that nitrogen and turn it into, I want to say nitric oxide. I'm not sure on that, but they turn it into a form of nitrogen that your plants can actually use. And it's just amazing, these cycles that are there, no matter where they come from, that we can tap into. Companion planting. One plant puts stuff in the soil that another plant needs. Or on the reverse of that, one plant you don't want to plant next to the other plant because it puts stuff in it that will hurt the other
Black
plant.
black
It's just
walnuts and
amazing.
apple trees.
Yeah,
Apple trees are so susceptible.
susceptible.
Susceptible. Yeah, I'm like so horrible with some words, but like black walnuts send out this thing where they're like, if you're a competing tree with me, I'm sending out some stuff, you're gonna die. And it's like
Yeah,
apple trees are one of the ones that are so susceptible. Take
susceptible.
really take that to heart and die.
Yeah,
Whereas like
yeah,
pear trees and other stuff aren't as sensitive to that. So it's interesting that, you know, one of the things we did is we planted the one food forest, and we started researching some stuff and found out some stuff, and we're like, we got a black walnut in there. I'm sorry I planted that there. The next year I took it out and moved it to the middle of nowhere in our acreage, because it's like whatever is around it, if it feels that something is competing with it, it's gonna kill it. It's gonna send out those like impulses or whatever it does and go, yeah, no, you don't belong
yeah,
here.
yeah. And it's just amazing how we can use this now. Science has said, okay, hey, we can study this stuff and learn how to make it so that we don't need the nature.
Now, if you and I could figure out how to tap into that so we could send out impulses to like our neighbors that we don't like.
Oh man. um it's I don't it's not so much the neighbors as the dogs, and I'm speaking just in
Oh,
case Alex and Misty
you've
are watching.
watched too
I'm
many of
speaking
my
about your
videos.
neighbors. Yeah, I'm watching your videos. Darren has dog training kennels on either side of him pretty
Oh,
much.
it's like
And
seven,
yeah,
8, 9 of our neighbors with dog training and kennels and pensions and sled dogs. And I'm
yeah,
surprised you're not hearing dogs right now.
yeah. I don't
I
hear
know,
him.
it's crazy. And I've got the windows open too.
Yeah, the other morning he sent us a short video of him sitting on his porch, and I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, I would snap.
I
I wouldn't be able to deal with it. Um,
I've thought about getting like one of those air raid sirens
yeah,
with a crank and just go.
thing is, the dogs would just stop barking and start howling.
Exactly, exactly. So I've looked at some of those other ones where it's like they send out some sort of pulse or some sort of like um, I don't know what you would call it, but it's like if the dogs bark, it detects that and sends out a sound that only the dogs can hear.
Mm-hmm.
So it's annoying for the dogs and basically gets them to shut up. But it's only good within like 90 meters. So I'm like, I need something that's like 9,000 meters. So it's like,
Well, even the 90 meters would kind of maybe lessen it so you could make a video
I
without.
think so. I think so. Yeah. So
But yeah, there are bark collars and everything, but that would run you a bunch of money, and then you got to get it on your neighbor's dog.
yeah, you can see me running across the street. Yeah, yeah.
Dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Diddle-oo,
Operation
diddle-oo.
Wolf.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky because if I do hear tiny bark, it's usually because, well, Tiny is a Saint Bernard, the new neighbors that moved in, Alex and Misty, down the road, and if he barks, he is protecting his homestead.
Okay.
And they've had the bear, because when we moved in, this used to be right next to where my driveway hits the road, there used to be a game trail through there. Everything went through there. Well, when I moved
Oh,
in, it kind of pushed everything towards Alex and Misty's way. And then when they moved in, the animals are just getting used to, hey, there's a trailer here now. There are people living here. They're just figuring out, okay, we've got to find a nice centerpiece. And it was amazing. I walked to my pond the other day and there were deer tracks everywhere. I have seen there. I always see a doe and a fawn, and sometimes a buck in the fields.
okay.
But I don't see many deer here. But apparently, judging by the tracks, which one animal can make a lot of tracks, but
Yep.
judging by the tracks, at least this time of year, I have a lot of deer on my property. And but as far as most of the time, way out over the side, every once in a while, there's a hound dog that I can hear barking at something. Tiny only barks when something's in his space,
Yeah.
and I love it because he's a puppy. He's about 2.5, almost 3 feet tall, and his paws still look huge for his body. So this is going to be a big dog. Trevor keeps picking on me because he says, yeah, he says, Tracy's in a competition to see how much food he can put up, but he's going against Canadians that can hunt moose every year. I'm like, well, it's not that kind of competition. We all put our weights in, and I'm lucky because Remy hunts in parties so that they split up the meat.
Yeah, it's great when you get one tag and you're able to hunt in a party, because I used to hunt with like 12 guys and we'd go for one or two moose and split it up between us. So it was always nice that way. So
Yeah. Whereas I hunt alone, if I don't get something, I come home empty handed,
yeah.
but then when I do get something, I, can keep all of that meat.
Yeah.
My muzzle loader, I have a cheap, I don't know, I think I paid like $120 for it. A cheap muzzle loader, and I it's got iron sights and stuff. So I told my friend Matt, I was talking to him about it, and I said, yeah, he said, I got to buy a new muzzle loader. And he says, well, you can borrow mine. He's got one of those nice, I believe it's a nickel plated Thompson center arms muzzle loader, breaks in half with a scope. And he said, yeah, he says, I'm not going to be using it this year.
Those are easy. So nice to use compared to like a regular old style muzzle loader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remy's not going this year. My uncle who got drawn. Oh man.
Oh, ouch.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
He can
Tracy,
beat it.
I'm gonna drop off for a sec.
Okay.
I might drop back in, but I'm gonna try and fiddle with some stuff in the background. But
Okay. Well,
yeah.
thanks for stopping by. And if you do decide to come back in, just make a lot of motion down there so it catches my eye.
Hey, I'm
There you
here. Hello.
go.
All right, sounds good. Talk
All
to you in a
right.
bit.
Yeah. Have a good one, Darren. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, hopefully he beats it, Remy. I do have a journal that I made for Wendy. It's something where they can write down what they're going through. Sometimes articulating what they're going through is easier through a pen. And if he wants one of them, let me know. I'll send him one. Cancer is a horrible thing, but I do believe that It's because the food we are eating, the water we are drinking is not it's not food. Our bodies can't use a lot of what we're eating. The reason deer pellets are so small is because what it eats, its body is using. Hey Melissa, how's it going? Welcome. But there's so much that we're eating that the goodness is processed right out of it. And now we were talking earlier about the meat printer. They can make a steak. They can make a steak in a factory with no cow. Don't ask me where they're getting the meat to make this, where they're getting the fat to make this. If it's synthetic, it's just crazy to me. I'm the type of guy that almond milk and the various non-dairy milks, they have their place. There are people who do not do well with dairy. To me, it's an abomination. Give me good old cow milk. My mom uses 2% milk. If it's 2% milk, what's the other 98%? Why don't you just get a glass of water and pour just a little swig of whole milk in there? Yeah. I can't wait, guys. I have not eaten venison in any way, shape, or form in the last 3 years. I think somebody gave me some jerky a few years ago. Well, it's lab grown there is no animal, there is just the meat, but they're talking in a minute. They can make a steak in a minute. And Benjamin Netanyahu toured the factory that they have. And it's amazing that we have the technology to do this. But I'm asking, what is the price? Okay, what are we? There's a trade-off with that kind of ease. Okay. Oh, the cows are not farting. Well, if the cows aren't farting, then you can't get a real steak from it. And you're like, oh, it's the same tissue. What is the trade-off? That cow has, it's not my kind of steak either at all. A cow or an animal. Okay, you're like, I used to be one of those guys that say, well, yeah, you can't get the correct amount of protein in your diet if you're a vegan or a vegetarian. Trevor, one day we were riding and there was a horse in the field. He says, where do you suppose that horse is getting his protein from? All he eats is grass, hay, and oats. Threw me back. That horse is bigger and stronger and more muscular than anything and don't eat no meat. So that kind of swayed me there, but I like meat. I cannot lie. I are a meat eater. The factories still leave imprints on the earth. Here's the thing. They're trying to say, okay, I'm going to deep dive here a little bit, guys. Down the rabbit hole just a tad. There's a war on farms and a war on farming. Why? Because you have to control the food. If you control the food, you control the population. Now, I mean that in two ways. If you control the food, the population that you have will obey you because they want that food. But if you control the amount of food that is produced, you also control the population level. There is a movement out there, and many high-ranking officials have bought into it, that the world needs the population of humans to go down to 50 million people worldwide. 50 million. That's 6 billion. Oh man, I can't do math. That's you got to kill just short of 7 billion people to get us down to 50 million. And ain't no way the powers that be are going to be the ones that are being called. But if you control the food, you control the population. I'm sorry, but I am one of those guys who believe that our vice president of the United States, what's her face? That's her title. What's her face? It was a Freudian slip. When she was listing all the things that they want to do, she accidentally said population control or population reduction. Because they are saying, well, the earth can't sustain it. Yes, the earth can sustain us if we go back to an agrarian, agricultural based system where people are growing. They're taking what the plots of land that they have and they're growing the food that they need on those plots of land. By the sounds of things here in Ontario, everything is going into lockdown again by November. Sorry about that. Yeah. There's a new, be afraid, be very afraid. You forgot how dangerous these things are. There's a picture I shared to Facebook that shows exactly why that is. The Pfizer stock has gone way down. There's basically no restrictions right now. I haven't heard of the C word in a while. Now they can just say in November it's going to get bad. So yeah. Well, yes, we stop being afraid. Fear controls you. You don't think fear can control you? Climb a telephone pole without the electric wires, okay? Be safe about this dangerous thing. Climb a telephone pole and stand on the very top of a telephone pole. Okay? We're going to put airbags all around it. So if you fall, you'll be safe. This white-haired man ain't doing it. Why? Fear. Number one, I don't need to do it. So I don't have to approach that fear. Fear will stop you from many, many things. Fear is a good thing. Okay. Fear keeps me from taking my car out here and driving too fast, which would hurt someone or myself because of fear of the consequences. Fear of consequences can be a good thing, but don't let it stop you from doing things. I was editing the video from the Woodsman's Field Days, and I tell the story about Trevor and his daughter. She got up in a skidder, and she was just a tiny thing at the time. She got up in a skidder and was playing around. He said, "Okay, it's time to go. Come on, jump down into daddy's arms." She said, "No," because that skidder was way high up. And that fear controlled her to the point she wasn't going to do it. Well, fear is a pretty sturdy object. Trevor is an immovable object. Okay. His stubbornness. She finally, after about 5 minutes, which is a long time when you're standing there waiting to go get funnel cake, she finally jumped into her daddy's arms because he wanted to teach her to trust him. But fear controls better than many other things. There are some things that may control people better than fear. Reward can control people. Hey guys, if we hit this, if we hit this mark this week in our production, we all get a bonus. That can control people. But hey, if you don't show up for work on time tomorrow, you're going to lose your job. The fear of losing your job for many people can be that motivating factor. But there is plenty of room on the earth for all the people living. Now, there's a lot of the earth that is not livable. It's not the way God created it. I believe we were talking about the flood earlier. I believe the flood changed things. It changed the landscape because God created the earth to be inhabited by man. And I believe the pre-flood world was that whole thing. Yeah, consequences can control as well. But guys, and I hope I don't end up with people at my door saying, ha 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 ha, you said this, but I won't comply. Now, if I have to wear a mask to go in a store, I probably will. Just so that I can shop and eat, because I am not that great a gardener, and I haven't hunted in a while. I'm hoping to get a deer. I'm so excited for deer season to come, because I eat a lot of meat. And you know, I buy my beef. I'll be buying from my sister-in-law. I can buy beef from Highland cows. My daughter, I can buy beef from Black and Red Angus. You ain't got to poke me too many times to get me to comply with Black Angus or Highland beef. My chickens, I plan on raising them. Woohoo! And now that I have the buildings, I'll be able to raise meat chickens. Part of the one building, the second building may be used to raise meat chickens or whatever, because I put it out on Facebook. I was just testing the grounds to see what the interest was on meat chickens, and I had 2 people that wanted 20 meat chickens a piece, and I wouldn't have been able to do it with the infrastructure I have right now. That's awesome. That's awesome. And there is something to be said. Yeah. Trevor says I'm turning into a hermit. I've always been a hermit at heart. Always been a hermit at heart. Um, I don't like to leave the homestead if I don't have to. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. Um, what is going on here? I'm not. It's saying I have. Oh well. Um, but yeah, I want to get it to the point where everything I need to live is here on the homestead, and the only thing I need is fellowship that is off the homestead. And if I could get the fellowship to move onto the homestead, um, here where where we are, you can't sell more than I think 15 birds. Yeah. This would be something that I wouldn't be selling the birds. Um I think I would be raising the birds for them, and they would just be paying for the birds upkeep. Um something to that effect. Um Darren, let me know if you want to pop back up. Um yeah, it's why wouldn't you? Okay, now you can't stop the hatcheries from doing. You can get. I get birds that don't have the um the vaccines, the meningococ coccitis or whatever. You can get them with those shots, but um it I choose not to. I haven't had any problems. As soon as I take the chicks, they come in the mail, I take them out of the box, I dip their beak in water to teach them how to drink. They're getting that little bit of apple cider vinegar in their water. It does wonders. And I can do the same with echinacea. I can make a little bit of echinacea. I don't know if echinacea vinegar would do that, but anything, echinacea is an antibiotic, a mild antibiotic too. Yeah, that's awesome. You use an incubator to grow the chicks, the eggs out and stuff, so that you have different genes. Yeah. Um, is that for tonight, Darren? You coming on tonight? Because if you're coming on tonight, um, then I'll make sure I'm off, and um we'll post the link for your live. Because yeah, Darren used to come on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. with his live. That would be wonderful. In the summer, a lot of people stop doing lives. Okay. All right. Let me come on. You go to YouTube. Oh, on the news, Joe Biden might have a new scandal to worry about. Duh. Um, Notify me. where's the, come on, give me the thing. Share, copy, and I'll come over here. Aaron's live stream and post that. And then I will replace the pinned message. It should go to Darren's live stream. Yep, Darren's live stream is now pinned at the top. So after this, he's going to be 8 p.m. That's going to be amazing. He's back, baby. Oh, not a problem, man. Your family. It's amazing the community that we have been able to develop on YouTube, and the things that I learn, the things that I learn from Darren and Remy and Annie and Mahilin and Dave Knight and Patrick and all them, Lynn and Ren's Homestead, Jack, Lindsay, and Kenzie. I remembered your name, Kenzie. The old man still got a screw. It might be loose, but I still got it up here. It is a crazy awesome community. And I'm just so privileged to be a part of it, because the more self-sufficient we can become, the better. Because, you know, I don't want someone else taking the responsibility. If somebody else has the responsibility of providing for me, then I'm wrong. Now I get a disability pension from the VA. Okay. So some people can say, hey, you're depending on somebody else there. Yes. My goal is to not need that. Unfortunately, it'll probably be after I pay off the tractor. I found out I owe twice as much on my car as it's worth. What happened there was Wendy and I bought a car because we needed a dependable car to get her back and forth to chemo and stuff, doctor's appointments, and for my mom and stuff. So we bought a car, and it was crap. It spent more time at the dealership garage than it did in my yard. So finally I said, hey, take it as a trade-in, and I want a new car. Well, guess what? All of that money was that I still owed on that. They gave me like $5,000 for the trade-in, and heaped the rest on this car. So my car is worth like 13,000, and I owe like 23,000. I need a truck. I need to trade it in on a truck. So what I'm going to do, because I mean, it's honest earned debt. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start paying more than my payment. Anything I can each month, I'm going to start paying extra on the principal of that, and pay it down. And then once it's about even, where the car is worth, where what I owe is just maybe a little bit above what it's worth, then I'll be able to trade in for a I'll be able to trade in for a truck. I might lease a truck. I'm not sure. Yeah, I've had the car way too long. We had it, lemon law for that price was like 90 days. And as with everything, it was well after 90 days, um, before it started giving us problems. Um, uh, some of it was transmission and all of that. But it's live and learn. I do know that it's just something that it's part of life. Right now, it might be God's way of telling me to keep the car because it's easy for mom to get in and out of, just like it was easy for Wendy to get in and out of the car, whereas a truck might be a little harder. Um, because I still take my mom to her appointments and stuff. I love spending time with my mom. And it's one of the, you know, uh, when she has to go to an appointment or whatever, it's guilt free for her because she's not, well, I hate taking you away from stuff you had to do. Well, one of the things I have to do is get her to her appointments. Uh, I'm her son. Oh my gosh, the crap she put up with me when I was growing up. It's funny because I'll say that to her. I'll say, Mom, you put up with so much worse for me than I have to put up with for you. And she said, oh, you were a sweet boy. You weren't that bad of a boy, which tells me that her memory is turning selective, if nothing else, because I was horrible. Oh my goodness. I rebelled every which way. If I would have shut my mouth and did what my dad told me, just in the garden alone, I would have learned so much. But I would spend 10 times the energy to get out of doing what he wanted me to do, uh, than it would have took to just do what he wanted me to do. I have a good community around me. Everyone knows I can't grow much here, so everyone nice, nice. Um, I've had let me show you um uh Matt's mother and father. Oh my goodness, their garden phenomenal this year. I need to take care of this. Look at that head of cauliflower. Oh, look at all the fruit flies. I should have took care of this a long time ago. Look at that head of cauliflower. I wish I could say I grew that, but I didn't. That is just one solid head of cauliflower. That is amazing. And they were able to give that to me, because they are just fantastic gardeners. Yeah, absolutely. If if uh if somebody gives me something, I don't know if they have green beans and stuff like that, but I've got green beans that I'm doing well with because anybody can grow green beans for the most part. Yeah, yeah. Um, I know that they used to get a load of horse manure every year, and then they would coat their garden with that manure the next year, and grow in that. But Matt says that they're out in the garden every day. Uh, I wish I had the time for that. I can't say that because I do have the time for it. I just don't have the energy. Um, but uh, but the Amish guy the other day, when I went down to move my sheds out of his shop, out of the way of his shop and stuff, so he could build another shed. Um, I had the grapple on the tractor so that I could move a couple logs over to his sawmill for him. And he says, yeah, he says, just take that off what you owe me. And I said, you don't owe me anything. Next thing I know, his wife has got a laundry basket of corn that she picked from her garden, and he brought me over, like 4 ears, which I'm alone. That was great. I was able to give mom 2 ears of fresh sweet corn, and I got 2 ears of fresh sweet corn. It was amazing. Beans and tomatoes and cucumbers are going nuts here, along with some other stuff Alyssa has planted. I'm not sure what all it is. Yeah. Um, I have I had a BLT made with tomatoes from the garden, bacon from the pig, and instead of lettuce, I use kale because I didn't plant any lettuce this year. I don't know why. Um, but and the only thing store bought was the mayonnaise, and with eggs, I've got eggs. I could in oil. I could have made my own mayonnaise, but it was the mayonnaise and the bread. And oh my word, it was so very, very good because I did that. I mean, God did that, but He allowed me to harvest the pork and the tomatoes and the kale. Um, it's just amazing. Hey guys, I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. Been on for almost 2 hours. Wow. And Darren posted at the top. Let's see. How do I do this? That way. Posted over there is at the top. The pinned comment is the link to Darren at Thorhaven Farms live stream. And I appreciate him coming on with me tonight. It was fun. I love talking with Darren. The science and just everything. You never know what you're going to talk about when you have somebody on, and it just makes things so interested. And as the thumbnail shows, that pin, I'm easily distracted by chickens. It's one of my favorite shirts. I need to order one for myself so I can show it off because I am easily distracted by chickens. I can sit and watch my chickens all day long. Sometimes I do. To the detriment of the work that needs to be done on the homestead. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I will see you hopefully over on Thorhaven Farms. Live stream. Forgot our Darren's live. I will post that again. Darren's live stream. And I will see you guys over there in about 8 minutes. All right. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for joining me tonight. And as always, guys, God bless. We love you.